back to Art Resuscitation. I'm here in Lancaster, Kentucky, here at the Grand Theater with our special guest, Miss Debra Hoskins. Thank you so much for being with us today.
It's a pleasure.
I've had the opportunity to tour this theater, and it is absolutely awesome. You're doing such a wonderful job. But let's back up and start at the beginning of our conversation. Are you an artist?
I play the piano.
Okay, tell us about that.
I play the piano for a couple of churches here in Lancaster. The Baptist of the Nazarene. I've been playing since I was about 8 years old.
So is that what kind of spawned your interest in having groups to perform and being such a big supporter of the arts?
No, probably back in the early 80s when my children were small. I used to direct and put together our pageants here in town. And I don't like beauty pageants very well at all. So I would always bring in entertainment, but the coordination of the event. That's what I love, was starting from nothing and taking it together and then having a finished product. And we always had celebrities to come in and be our judges. It was not the normal beauty pageant. And so I think the event planning more or less got me started in this. And then years later, after finishing my college degree as a mother, an adult mother of small children, and working full-time, a job came open at a nearby performing arts center. And it was a secretarial position, and I said, that's where I want to go into. And it was just a natural fit.
Well, it must take quite a bit of energy to do something like, so you're a mom, you're the executive director here at the Grand Theater. Is that what inspires you to keep this going? Is that just something that's really innate within you and it just kind of drives you, or no?
Well, I've been in two major performing arts centers here in Kentucky, and both did very well. And this position came available. This is my hometown.
Oh, really?
I grew up here,
okay.
Yeah. My mom lives about 3 seconds away from here, my dad too, and then I'm about a mile out of town. But I didn't know anything about this theater. As a child, I wasn't allowed to go to the movies. My mother said I didn't have any place in the movies. Okay. So I didn't know a whole lot about this theater. Now, she went as a child, and a lot of others did too. But when it came available, some folks all got together, saw this as a landmark that they would work and put back together to the original restoration. J.W. Hazelton, he and his brother loved the arts. And they would go to New York, and traveling to New York in the 20s and 30s, how difficult that was. But they went, they loved theater. And they were entrepreneurs and builders in this area and very innovative. And they came back and said, we're going to build a theater.
Wow, what a vision.
So this is modeled after a New York venue.
Really?
It is. We do not know which one exactly it is, but the history of the venue says that it was modeled after one in New York. I cannot take credit for the interior, the exterior, anything. All I can take credit for is the programming and the marketing of the theater. That's where my talents lie. But they've done a superior job of restoring it back to its original beauty.
It is absolutely gorgeous. We're now taken back to the lobby of the Grand Theater. Debra takes the time to point out historical figures that are depicted in the painting that hangs in the lobby.
This is a painting done this year. It was commissioned by the Art Council here in Lancaster. And this is a painting about Paint Lick, Kentucky, part of Garrett County. It is on the eastern side of the county going toward Richmond. The artist is James Crow, which was an equine artist, and very famous paintings that he's done for Keeneland, the Queen of England, and many other folks around the country and the world, actually. This painting depicts all about Paint Lick. If you look up there, there's a picture of the Fort Paint Lick done in the early 1800s. This is the Kennedy Plantation, and on the Kennedy Plantation was this little cabin. And Harriet Beecher Stowe stayed all night with family members at the Kennedy Plantation, looked out, saw folks out the little cabin, and guess what book she wrote? Uncle Tom's Cabin. That's where it all came. And that's where a lot of history started making itself, and the Prohibition and different things started happening culturally and politically. Kentucky is famous for deers. Garrett County is primarily famous in crops for tobacco. The Iroquois Indians came in from New York and they would hunt the deers, and that's the Indian there. Horse racing was very big in this area, and if you remember, we go counterclockwise because the British went the other way, so we go a completely different way because we were in battle at the time. The Walker Coonhounds, these dogs they love hunting those raccoons, and horses of Kentucky all do this. And it's just, this is one of 5 historical paintings about Garrett County that Mr. Crow will be doing in the next few years. And this is all done with a special paint and lacquered over top of it, and it can hang outside if we choose to do so.
We not only get more history of the Grand Theater, but Debra gives us some insight regarding the upcoming renovations being made in order to make their artists more comfortable.
The brass rack that you see in front of you on the video was used between 1924 and the 1950s. That was out on the outside wall of the theater, and it advertised 4 different performances that would have been coming up at the theater. This is one of our 3 dressing rooms. We have 2 chorus dressing rooms for men and women, and then we have a star dressing room. And in here, our first year, we only had the framing, and the artists were very kind. They came in and we had plastic on the walls. This year, we've had a team of volunteers to come in, and they drywall and put beautiful paint. And we'll have a bank of mirrors all the way around the room with theatrical lights to encase around them. And then they have plenty of showers and restrooms. We have 2 for them. And then we have clothes racks and everything that'll be going in. And everything will be very clean and ready for their use in September when we open up for Vince Gill on September 19th.
After being here for 2 seasons, and again, I know there's a lot to do when you're bringing in so many acts of so many different genres to the theater. What frustrates you most or challenges you the most in this business?
Well, every ticket sale is a challenge because there's a lot of competition, whether it's a church event going on, a ball game at the high school. You know, that's what you're up against. And our community it's less than 5,000 people in the city.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So most of the traffic coming through this beautiful venue is from central Kentucky. It's coming from Lexington and Louisville and Cynthiana and London and Jessamine County. I mean, it's all over the board. We have Vince Gill coming in September the 19th, and we have people coming from Australia.
Oh, really?
They've called and ordered tickets. Mm-hmm. New York, Pennsylvania. They're coming from everywhere.
Well, that says a lot about the work you're obviously working very hard to do with meeting all the challenges, because in a small community, as you said, anything can be a distraction from your audience, but you're pulling it off very well.
I have great support. There's 2 people employed here, myself and a tech director. Everyone else that works here is a volunteer. And we have volunteers that range from 14 years of age that love theater and that go all the way up to 87 years of age.
Wow,
Yeah.
that says a lot.
And they're wonderful people. When you walk into the theater doors, you're greeted by a bank president.
Really?
He opens the door for you and welcomes you to the theater. And inside you have school principals and school teachers and nurses and policemen and students in the area, and that's what makes this such a special place. It's like home time when you come here. You may be seeing top-notch entertainment, but you feel very comfortable here.
And that's always important.
That's the most important thing that we can do. People spend their hard-earned money, and when they get here, we want them to feel like they're the most important people here. The experience has to be very good for them.
So they'll come back and keep
Absolutely.
coming.
Absolutely. Word of mouth's the best thing.
So what are some of the other acts you have coming up?
Well, we have Vince Gill, like I said, he's coming with the Time Jumpers.
Oh, that's gonna be
And
great.
then we have my favorite.
Who was that?
The Temptations.
The Tempting
Yes.
Temptations.
Not the fighting Temptations.
Right,
but
the Tempting Temptations, right. And when will they be here?
They'll be here on the 25th of September.
Oh, the 25th.
And each week we have a new act. It's amazing that we're having almost 22 acts this year. Then in October, we open with Restless Heart on the 2nd. We have Cirque Dior coming in from China.
Really?
Yes, the Cirque Acrobats. We have Etta Britt, who was with a group called Dave and Sugar at one time. Now she has her own group, and her husband is one of the performers with Winona Judd. So their whole band will be coming, and Etta will be coming back to her town.
Oh, that's going to be huge.
It's a fun show.
Yes.
Smokey Joe's Cafe, the longest running Broadway in New York, is coming here, and the Coasters will be doing all the music.
Really, the Coasters. Wow, I haven't heard that name in quite some time.
Yakety yak, don't talk back. Then we have Sunday Best, which is an up-and-coming group from here in Kentucky. We have a Civil War encampment that will be out, the North and South, be parked right outside our door.
Oh, really?
And we'll be doing a whole weekend of authentic learning techniques that they did back in the Civil War days. It's going to be really neat. We have the Boxcars, which is a bluegrass group with Dan Tominski. Dan Tominski did all the music for Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, the movie.
Really?
And he's the lead singer with Alison Krauss.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're excited to put those two together.
Yes.
Then we have A Christmas Carol, all veteran Broadway actors from New York. They're coming in. We did it last year. It was sold out for 3 performances. And then we have the Nutcracker Ballet from Russia.
Yes.
I can't wait.
From Russia. Oh,
From
that's
Russia,
gonna be
the state
awesome.
ballet.
Wow.
Actual, authentic.
I love the Nutcracker.
It's gorgeous,
It
the
is.
scenery and the
The
costumes.
music is awesome.
Then we have Elvis coming back.
Oh, he is alive.
Elvis
I had
is
heard
alive.
he was alive. Okay.
He has not
So
left
he's
the
not
building.
left the building.
He'll be here January 3rd, and it's done by the tribute artist is Chris McDonald, and he is the only tribute artist that Graceland sanctions.
Oh, really?
So
He must be
he's
really
very
good.
He's awesome, actually. And then we have ABBA Mania, and who doesn't like Mamma
I was gonna
Mia?
say, that was right.
Yeah.
ABBA, yes.
The music from ABBA. Then we have Popovich. Gregory Popovich has been on the cover of Time magazine. He's been on Jay Leno, Letterman, any performing show out there, late night television, all over the world. He comes from Russia, and he takes house cats that he's rescued and dogs, 15 house cats, a few dogs, a couple of mice,
Oh.
some ducks and geese, and he puts together this performance that's unbelievable. He has them doing all kinds of cute tricks.
The mice, too?
The mice too. And it's so cute because you see a cat rescued in this little fire scene riding on the back of a little dog.
The cat's not tempted to eat the mice over here.
And the dog's
He is
not
good.
It's incredible. He was on America's Got Talent. He was second place on that.
Wow, okay.
So we have that, and then we have we do American Girl Teas, and that's where we set up our stage just like you're in New York or Chicago or Atlanta, Los Angeles. Everything is emulated just exactly like those stores. And they go in and have these teas. They bring their dolls, and they have a little pink chair that sits at the table, and their little doll sits there, has its own little cup and little
that
fun
sounds
things.
nice.
Yeah, we've had close to 1,300 come through for that.
Wow.
And so we're doing 2 more this year,
That's very
and that fills up very quick. We have a show called In the Mood, and In the Mood takes us back to the 1940s, and it's all Glenn Miller, Tommy Dorsey, the
Oh,
Andrews
big band.
sisters, big band,
Okay.
dancers, singers, and this group actually was one of the artist groups that performed for Bill Clinton's inauguration.
Really?
And then when they opened the World War II Memorial, this was one of the groups that was inaugurated into a part of the performance series. Then we have Rhythm of the Dance, which is the actual dance group representing Ireland. And it's like River Dance,
Okay,
Spirit of
that's
the
what I asked
Dance,
you.
all of those. And we had them last year, sold out, wonderful, wonderful dancers and singers in that. Chanticleer is probably, it's known as the Orchestra of Voices. It's an a cappella group. They're known all over the world. They performed in this area 6 to 8 times. They sell out very quickly.
Really?
So that's why. And then we're going to end on Etta Mae. Etta Mae is a comedian. She does. She's from Lexington,
Oh, really?
and she's going to behave herself and do a wonderful performance here. She's
Fingers crossed, huh?
Oh, it's more than that that's crossed. It's a contract that's crossed.
Okay, Anna.
She'll be a good girl, but she's one of the funniest women out there.
Really?
So,
Well, you cover the gamut. I mean, if you don't particularly care for big band, then you've got dance, then you've got the
everything.
Temptations, so there's something for everybody.
we hope so. I program like I want somebody to offer to me. If I'm going to spend, we have shows that start at $15, and they go all the way up to $150.
Okay.
When we do Vince Gill, we'll be taking part of this stage out, and lucky folks will be sitting right in front of it.
Really?
Those are the high
Very
seasons.
lucky folks,
Yeah,
yes.
that's going to be neat. But one of the neat things that we do here also is a lot of our performances that we offer at night that are from $40 to $60, we offer to school groups for
That's
$10.
wonderful. That's wonderful.
So they have the opportunity to see all of these large performances, big name artists, right here, and all they have to do is just drive a little bit.
That's awesome.
So it's a neat program that we do. And we include our senior adults and our veterans. And some of our performances this year will be airing live on the Armed Force Network, and they'll be going all over the world.
Really? Wow. That's huge.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be fun.
That should bring a lot of attention to a deserving theater and executive producer such as yourself.
We have lots of, I wish that one person could take credit for everything they can't. It's just,
I'm sure it takes a lot.
it's a huge community effort, and it's a regional effort. We have folks that come over here and work that are policemen from Lexington, former detectives from Lexington. They come over and they
volunteer
they
to
volunteer.
do whatever they need. That
Anything.
is great.
All kinds of neat things.
Well, I did read something about your more philanthropic side. You know, you don't believe everything you read, but it sounds like something that you would do because you seem to be such a kind person. And from what I read, you were motivated to travel to New York, visit Ground Zero after 9/11.
I did.
What made you feel like that was something that you needed to do? What was it the motivating factor?
After 9/11 happened, and every day I'd go to work, and the first day, of course, we couldn't believe it. None of us could believe it. We were all glued to that television set.
Yes.
And I could see so much trauma that was going on there. And I thought, you know, Southern people, we just have hopefully we all have a way that we can communicate and just be kind to others. You know, New York, up until that point, had a very strong personality. And if you remember, right after 9/11, New York was as kind and sweet as if they were sitting in the middle of Georgia somewhere. You know, it opened the eyes. I think 9/11 opened the eyes to the whole world that New Yorkers were wonderful people, and I wanted to be a part of that. I tried every way in the world the first 2 weeks to get in, and of course it was so chaotic, and the organization of it all. And I helped produce the Great American Brass Band Festival for 13 years in Danville. And one of the bands that we had was the Salvation Army Band that came out of Atlanta and out of New York. So through contacts there, I called and begged and I said, I really want to come and work. I'll do whatever you want me to do.
Wow.
And so when I went into New York, two girlfriends of mine went with me. We said, we'll do whatever. And they wanted us to cook. And I said, no, Lord, I'm no cook. I need
Anything
but unless I'm holding the fork eating, you know. So on the way into Ground Zero, I met up with the guy at the hard hat. And I said, take me with you. I don't want to go to the kitchen. And he said, come with me. He handed us 3 hard hats and vests, and we ended up down at Ground Zero, actually.
Wow.
So
How long did you stay in New York?
we were there a week.
Really?
We were there a week, and they told us, of course, that we're not supposed to take pictures, we're not supposed to take anything. Well, the firefighters from one of the locals there that was really hit hard, they said, we want a picture. And so they laid me across all of their laps, and I didn't even want to smile, but they said, you're part of our team now. And so, and when I left, they had a sack for me, and they gave me bolts that held together the towers.
Really?
Yeah. And I still have those.
Oh, I
of course.
bet. I
Yeah.
bet.
So it was an eye-opening learning experience that drew me closer to people all across the world. you know, because they were all there in spirit. If they weren't working with us, we knew that they were there with us.
Have you had a chance to visit the
Oh, absolutely.
the memorial?
I've been back several times. I
Isn't
went
that
back for the
beautiful?
anniversary. Everyone said the next year, oh, don't fly on July 4th or September 11th. I flew on both days just to show them.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's good
Yeah.
for you.
Yes.
Good for you. That memorial is beautiful. They did a marvelous
Oh,
job.
they have. It's incredible. And, you know, hopefully nothing like that will ever happen. In May this year, I was in D.C. at the Pentagon Memorial.
Oh, really?
And that was quite moving also. Completely different take on the architectural design that they did for the memorial. But I liked it a lot.
I'm sure that was life-changing experience for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I did read one more thing. Is it true that you collect old bricks?
Where did you read that? Deborah, you've been busy. I do.
You do?
I do collect
I said, well,
bricks.
that is so cute. Really, tell us about that. How did you start? And why did you start?
Well, years ago, about 8 years ago, the venue that I worked at, they tore a school down, and they had solid bricks. You know, they don't make solid bricks hardly anymore. These were old bricks from the 20s.
Wow.
And there's a farm behind my house, and I thought, you know, I believe I can do something with these bricks. So every day at lunch, I'd put old clothes on, and I had an old truck I'd borrow, and I would go out and load bricks up, and I carried 6,000 bricks home.
You are kidding.
And so I built a 40-foot wall about 8 feet tall in my backyard. I didn't build it, I had someone to build it. But I cleaned every brick, chiseled every brick and cleaned them.
That's amazing.
And then, that wasn't the end of it though.
Okay.
So a hospital tore down a building. And you had to go to the emergency room past this building that was torn down. So as people went in with their fingers cut off and, and all kinds of stuff, I'm sitting out there chiseling bricks, and I took those bricks home. And then when I came to this theater next door, they had torn a building down, and they still had some piles. And I collected all those and took them down.
So is that something that you continue to do,
Oh, yeah.
or you have enough bricks? Or you continue
I
to
can
do?
always use more bricks.
Always, never enough
Always.
bricks,
There's
right?
Never. It's like a dress. You can't have enough.
That's right. I like that. I really like that. Well, thank you for being with us on Arts Resuscitation. I have enjoyed our conversation immensely, and the best to you in this gorgeous theater. And folks, when you get to Kentucky or in the vicinity, in the tri-state area, come to Lancaster, Kentucky at the Grand Theater. Ask for Debra Hoskins, and you will not regret it for 1 second. Thank you again for being with us. Thank you.
You're welcome. I enjoyed every bit of it.
Oh,
Why don't you
good.
read about me collecting my
I
bricks?
can't tell everything.
You
I-
rascal. You didn't know that?
No, but that explains the wall.